Hi, this is Ann Pearson, Director of Training at the Paralegal Bootcamp. I'm here today to give you a quick video tutorial to get the best use out of the eDiscovery project calculator that you downloaded. I know there are so many of these templates out there that you can download. I've seen dozens of them, but I never see a tutorial on how to get the best use out of it. I know that you're busy, so let's jump right into it and pull up the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, here we go. This is the eDiscovery budget estimate that you downloaded, and at the top you've got the rows to fill in for your matter name and other information. Let's first take a look though at the color codes. That's what's really important. So as you go through this budget estimator, you'll know which fields you can enter information into and which fields you can't. The cells that have an orange background with blue font are the cells that you'll want to look at for where you might want to enter information specific to your case. It's important that the cells that have the light blue background with the orange font are the ones that you don't make any changes to because they're formulas in those cells. And those cells pull information from other areas. And if you look to the right in the column, you'll see where it's pulling information from. So this tells you that this field is multiplying whatever's in line 2 by line 3. So these are automatic calculators. You don't want to change those. If you do ever want to know where the formula comes from, if you highlight that cell, you'll see up in your formula bar that this is telling you it's C11 times C12, and then you'll see them highlighted. Let's not change any of those formulas. You'll also see that this budget is divided into sections based on the different phases of your project. So first the collection phase, then the processing, if you have any paper, the review phase, the early data assessment phase, and then when you're reviewing either phase 1 for relevance, phase 2 for privilege, and I'll show you how you can edit these if, whatever particular phases you might not be working with. Let's say you have an example of, let's see how this estimator changes. We've got 8 custodians in our sample case, and you'll see that it shows us when we say we've got 6 gigs per custodian, it's going to estimate how many we have plus any extra sources to give us the total collected, which is then going to be able to give us an estimated files per gigabyte and then what it's going to cost us for this collection phase. So all of these things you can edit, the ones that are orange with blue font. Let's assume that we have 10 custodians and we have 10 gigabytes each. You'll see how the data in all these other fields change. Maybe your hourly charge that the vendor has quoted to do the document collection is $100 per hour and not $50. So that automatically changes. Maybe you're not using an outside vendor for collection. Maybe the client's collecting. So you simply insert a 0 in that field. And all of these other fields will adjust accordingly. If you're ever wondering, there's notes here that tells you where the assumption comes from. There's notes to tell you what you need to adjust after collection. So for example, when you get down to processing, all of these numbers are going to change based on what these numbers are up here. So you just go through each section and look and see what's relevant to you. Maybe you don't have any paper in this section. So we don't need any pages per box, and we have 0 boxes per custodian. So there's a 0 amount for paper processing, which then also reduces our ESI files that we're going to review. Obviously, you can go through here, make changes, but make sure that you're making the changes in those sections that tell you, that you're not making changes in the ones that have formulas. Now, if you're a super Excel person where you're advanced and, you want to make some edits to those formulas, then by all means do that. But where this really comes in handy, the reason why I think that you should use one of these for each and every eDiscovery project that you have, whether it's 5 or 10 gigs or a terabyte, is that you can go through and make various adjustments to the criteria to see which method is going to be best for you, because the bottom line is always going to adjust based on the changes that you make. So you could run some comparison analysis here. Let's take a look at this. In this example, our total costs for this eDiscovery project are $743,299. We reviewed 364,000. Now there is a phase in here for reviewing the oppositions documents as well. Some people like to take that out completely and just do a separate one for that. You can easily do that by just zeroing out those fields. But this is assuming that we're going to do that. Now let's say that the attorney wants to know whether or not you should maybe use the early case assessment tool or not. We go up to early case assessment, and in here we've got it calculated where it's going to cost $6,000 for that tool. We've got our training time, average hourly rate for the person who's going to be trained, and so what the cost of that EDA tool is. Now, it's assuming that you're going to have a 50% reduction in relevant files. So you're significantly reducing down the number of files you're going to have here. Remember this total. In fact, let's write it down for this example. The total, if we're using that early case assessment tool, is $743,299. Write down this number for the total files reviewed, and this gives us a cost per file, $2.04. Now let's go up and assume that we don't want to spend the money on that early case assessment tool. The attorney doesn't believe it's relevant. They don't want to use it. They don't trust it, whatever reason. So we're going to have no cost for the tool, no training time spent on the tool, but we're not going to have any reduction in the amount of files that we're going to review. So we have 100% files deemed relevant, which is the same amount as this. Now keep in mind, there is a field up here for the denisting deduplication. That assumes a 30% reduction. So that's already there. We know we're going to reduce it a little bit there. But we're not going to have any further reduction because we're not using any other tool. Then you can look at this and see how the bottom line changes, which is really what's most important. Got to move this field over a little. So the bottom line is we're now at $1,452,000. Now, the cost per file is a little bit less, but the total files that we're reviewing is significantly more. And that's really why this is important, why you want to use this for every single eDiscovery project that you do, so you can do an analysis. And then you'll have your own assumptions that you can put in here. The assumptions are industry standards, but you can gather metrics from each of your projects to know approximately how many files per hour you can review, what the vendors are charging per gigabyte for processing, all of that. All right, so that is our review of the eDiscovery project budget.